I'm a reading specialist, so there's always been a love of literature for me that always came really easily for me. I loved books, and I didn't struggle to learn to read, and I always really connected with literature in the classroom. I loved listening to my teachers read aloud, and so I think it really started there. I mean, as simple as I wanted to be the person doing read-alouds in front of children. I loved that. And then in high school, I loved all of the literature that I read in high school. I was the one that, when other kids didn't want to talk about the books, I was the one that wanted to really talk about the books, and I got frustrated when the conversation didn't really go well. And so I knew there was always going to be a connection to literature for me. And so that was kind of where it took me. I knew that I would eventually go on and get my master's degree as a reading specialist after spending some time in the classroom. The best example of that would be a colleague that I worked with who was a writing specialist in our school. And she asked a lot of really probing questions. And I remember sometimes feeling like she was, they felt judgmental, but as I got to know her, I realized she was really pushing me to think about why I was doing what I was doing and whether there was maybe different ways I could be doing it. So she really pushed me to kind of grow outside of my comfort zone and to really challenge ideas that I had had for a long time about what best practice looked like. So I as a reading specialist and a literacy coach now, really push myself to ask questions of teachers to get them really thinking about their own practice. If they're a literacy coach as well, which I am, they work in the classrooms with teachers, and the job is to work on reading achievement in students through teachers' practices in the classroom. So we work directly with teachers. We go in, we teach alongside them. We might model instruction. We might watch them teach. We give them feedback on their instruction. We give them other ideas for how they might want to address maybe a struggling reader's issues. We keep track of students' data in the building, and so kids that look like they're really struggling, I spend time with every single day, 5 days a week for about a half an hour, and I gauge my instruction around what is their area of deficit. I was reading a pretty powerful book about a girl who was different. She was just different. She didn't really conform to sort of the norm. And I remember she would just sit and look at me every day as I read. And one day she came up to me and she put a little folded up piece of paper in my hands. And the book is called Star Girl. And she walked out of the classroom after pushing that into my hand, and she said, I opened it and it said, "Dear Mrs. Nichols, I am Star Girl." And it was true. And I really realized I think at that moment, the power of literature in kids' lives, that kids need to see themselves in books. And she had seen herself in that book. And I felt like I had changed her life, but she had also changed my life, and really thinking about connecting kids to books. And that is, I think, one of my biggest passions, is figuring out what is the right book for this student at the right time. Not only can they read it, but also what is going on in their life? What do they need right now? What kind of characters can I put in front of them so they see themselves in books? And so that's what I do. I read voraciously so I can match kids with books. I had a parent who gave me a phone call, and I had moved. She had to dig to find me. And she gave me a phone call to let me know that her daughter was going into education because of me. And she just said, "I just want to thank you and for what you did." And it was I just remember being so touched that she actually hunted me down and took the time to find me, because, we don't get a lot of accolades. So when you hear something like that and you realize that what you did mattered, it was incredibly touching. And it happened at a moment in my life when I really needed to hear that, because I was questioning whether I was, in the right place and if I wanted to stay in education. So I needed that. I needed to hear that I had made a difference, many, many years prior to that phone call.